Hey guys, so welcome to this week's market outlook. The past week we see risk assets consolidating. Not really much of a deep consolidation as we expected over to the 615, but it did go to about 618. Then after the second half of last week, we did see risk assets like the equity market start to rally towards the 630 level, a bit of the all-time high. And one of the main reasons is the CPI number was relatively well. We see a softer CPI number. So inflation is lesser than expected. And this is important because in June, all the tariffs would have been kicked in, and a few months of the tariff would have shown a really good reading of whether inflation numbers have really spiked up. Of course, this is not like the true inflation numbers, but it's a good, I would say, estimate to see the change. And we don't really even see much of an increase previously 0.1, now 0.2. Okay, a little bit, but it's really not much to shout at, and it did not come out as big or as worrisome as what the market thought it would. So tariff, like what we mentioned last week, is not really a market moving event anymore. Even with last week, we see Trump really giving all this kind of hard stance on countries, giving more tariff rates to other countries. We don't see market overreacting much, right? There's not really much of a market crash as what we saw in April. So market really rallied on the softer inflation numbers. Bull sentiments are really there on like X.com, and market's all-time high, right? 563 for the Nasdaq, as what we expected consolidation. Did not really go down to EMA, but we'll take it. There is this rally, and in the coming week, we can expect market to still hold that bullish sentiment. Of course, there are big earnings from big tech companies, so that might cause more volatility. But if you were to tell me, I wouldn't be shorting the market right now. I don't think there'll be a huge crash. I don't think there's not much reason to really justify a huge crash or expect any. But yeah, I wouldn't be short the market right now. Be more inclined to look at long setups. So if you look at crypto on the other hand has been on a tear since last week. Last week we also did mention that we are looking at consolidation for Bitcoin. But I can see Bitcoin over here pretty much consolidating the range of 117 to 121. And the weekly stochastics, let me bring you here. It's at the extreme overbought level. So on the weekly chart, you can really kind of get a good gauge of when consolidation can happen. If I bring you over here, you see the previous time was on the extreme side. It did have some consolidation, but I'm not expecting a very huge consolidation for Bitcoin. The main reason why is because we have a lot of tailwinds, right? We have the Genius Act being passed, we have treasury companies buying Bitcoin, we have Ethereum ETF inflows coming in. It's a lot of the major tailwinds. Of course, normally markets do peak at these kind of bullish events, but end of the day, we're not seeing price action being a total market failure of going down all the way to 100K level. I wouldn't be short this market as well. I think at worst, Bitcoin consolidates to maybe the 114 level EMA here, or if it has a healthier retracement level, coming back down to this 111 level would be good as well. So that's for Bitcoin. This week, not really sure, but there's not a lot of the numbers that can be very market moving, unless you look at Thursday, core PCE index. Sorry, this week, yeah, this week nothing really much. You see maybe initial jobless claims, existing home sales, but yeah, it's nothing to worry about for economic calendar. I mean, Fed Chair Powell speaks. You can go and watch it, but unlikely the market will really take a very big weightage towards what he says, given that Trump is looking to replace him. And yeah, with Trump replacing Fed Chair Powell, this could be another bullish catalyst that can give more liquidity to the markets. So the Fed is primed to really be the Fed is really primed to have a meeting in 31st July. I do not think that they will cut rates then, but they will be I think starting to prime the markets to cut rates in September, given that inflation is more of a like lesser of a concern, and they're probably gonna be focused on more of the employment. And yeah, they would believe that in September it would be primed for a cut. You can see markets also pricing in a cut for the September meeting. So this probability should increase as the days go, and towards September, for me, I'll expect a cut from the Fed after a long time, and that would be what I would think would be bullish for at least Q4, right? For risk assets, of course. Bond-wise, there's really nothing much to shout out at. 4.42 for the 10 years. We look at 30 years is about 5%. It's still high, don't get me wrong, it's still high, but it's not really shooting out like the April highs where market really was saying, hey, like maybe risk assets are get the equity premium is a bit too rich, right? But nothing really no major cause of concern right now for the bond market. Okay, end of the day, Ethereum is also the star of the show. Ethereum has been on the tear lately, outperforming Bitcoin finally. We can see that there's a lot of ETF flows for Ethereum and Bitcoin, but especially for Ethereum, the funding rate has come down a little bit. All the arbitrageurs will be very happy with the funding rate last week, but now it's about less than 10%. Bitcoin is about 11%. So still some juicy APR there for people who want to earn the funding rate. And this is still evident, right? This is evident that market is still bullish given the rise, right? There's still juice left for retail participation into the Ethereum and Bitcoin rally. Of course, I'm not chasing here. It's too much. If my personal take is it will consolidate, but not much, right? Obviously, I would like it to reach the EMA or maybe a more balanced level at 3,000, but I don't think we'll get that. At most, a slight consolidation down to the maybe 3,365 and then continue up. There's a lot of bullish news for Ethereum, and it's the most hated rally, I would say. A lot of people are bullish Bitcoin, but Ethereum wise, you can see the squeeze up. It's quite sick, It's quite sick. So, in short, no major cause of concern for next week. You can see really that there is gonna be bullish sentiments, and at worst, market's gonna consolidate down. And I will be looking more for long setups and not looking to short this market too much. Although I have a short swing setup, but yeah, it's a pretty good one. So I'll just leave it as it is. But yeah, looking more towards the long setups. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And have a good one, guys. Ciao.